Welcome to Never Too Late for Fitness Radio, bringing baby boomers proven strategies and innovative products for getting fit, staying fit, so you can live a longer, healthier, and happier life. Here's your host, best-selling author and fitness advocate, Phil Ferris.
Welcome to our show. If you're a woman baby boomer who has struggled to lose weight, this program is for you. Nearly 70% of baby boomers are overweight or obese. Most have tried diets, pills, and programs without long-lasting results. Whether you're trying to lose 10 pounds or fighting obesity, today's guest will describe a program that helps baby boomer women lose weight and keep it off naturally. Today's guest, Len Tucelli, Director of Sales and Marketing for Metabolic Balance, a global company that provides a sophisticated nutritionally based program on a client's blood values and unique health profile. Welcome, Len.
Well, thank you, Phil. It's an honor to be here with you today, and thanks for giving us a voice out into your audience. And it's a pleasure to be able to share the Metabolic Balance story and how it's improved so many lives around the world.
Well, I really was intrigued by it, and maybe you can give us a little bit of a background about its origin, which is pretty unique, and also how you got involved with the company.
Sure, absolutely. Metabolic Balance is a German company just outside of Munich, a little town called Essen, and our co-founder, Dr. Wolf Funfak, also founded the program with his wife, who's a naturopath, and his sister-in-law, who's a food engineer technologist. There's a German word for that. I won't pronounce it. It won't come out right. However, it's sort of the perfect storm. Dr. Funfak, who had done in the 70s his dissertation on childhood obesity, which didn't really exist in the numbers it does today, really did his life work understanding the metabolism and really did a lot of work regarding metabolic syndrome. But he changed his life's work from working in the ER in Berlin, Germany, from implanting heart pacemakers and dealing with the cases that were life and death situations to starting to question, quite simply, why were these people even here in the ER? And he saw, even with his own being overweight, and so he started to really study even deeper and deeper into why we were storing fat, why we couldn't burn fat, why the population was getting heavier and heavier, despite the millions of dollars being spent by governments and public organizations telling people to eat less and exercise more. And so he went on a journey, if you would. As many good physicians, as some of the best, through their own personal challenges, started to dig deeper and deeper than the standard answer that had given to them in medical school, saw through his wife, who's a naturopath, that her results, not using the drugs that he was taught to use, but using natural methods, were getting quite better results often. And anyways, studied Ayurvedic medicine, he studied nutrition, and in a preventive manner in the 80s and 90s. Long story short, they developed, and he started to handwrite these protocols based upon the research he had developed. And it would take him 3 hours, 4 hours to write these personalized nutrition plans for his family and his personal patients. The results were quite phenomenal. And what ended up happening was a greater need was established. People were coming to him from other doctors saying, I saw my neighbor. They lost 40 pounds, and they're off of their medicines. How do I do this, doctor? And he found that he didn't have enough time in the day. Quite simple. And in his wisdom, I remember sitting with him once, and he simply said, Len, if I had $100 and you needed some money, I could give you $50. I would retain half of what I have, and you would have half of what I had. However, if I give you my knowledge, I retain my knowledge. And you would also have my knowledge. This is much better. And in this way, metabolic balance has expanded into about 30 countries around the world and is expanding now into North America as well since about 2008 with this a soft launch, and it's growing in popularity and the results. And quite simply, the business model is built on two things. One is developing a customized, a personalized nutrition plan for each of our participants, and making sure that they have a certified metabolic balance coach to lead them, to work with them, to deal with their personal issues surrounding food, to educate them, almost like a GPS. Think of the nutrition program that we develop as a roadmap. However, the personal coach is your GPS. Turn right, turn left. Here are the results you're getting, and here's the reasons why. And we start to simulate a difference from the inside of the person out, and also educate them from the outside in. We find that the results are much better than the standard commercial-led weight management program. That's your question, Phil?
Yeah, that gives a good framework for the background. But what about yourself? How did you get involved with a German-based company?
That's a good question. I was actually in the hotel industry for about 18 years in luxury resort development in the Caribbean. As an executive, I had, you could say, the power of the pen. Entertaining, signing off onto the ledgers. I indulged, quite simply, and I bulged. And as a typical guy, you can look at yourself in the mirror and you don't see yourself getting heavy. But a good friend of mine who was German, whose father happens to be a naturopath in Munich, took a picture of me by the pool standing next to him one day, and digital age turned the camera around and said, "See, you need to lose weight." And I saw myself third party for the first time, quite brutal, standing, next to him. He was fit. He was doing the metabolic balance program, living a very healthy lifestyle, and he convinced me. Now, I had the pressure of my wife for several years telling me I had to lose weight. Mind you, that was building up. But now I had a buddy telling me, anyways, I'd never been on a diet. I'd never been on a program of any type ever in my life. And in my fourth, fifth day on the program, I started to just feel better. Interestingly, I didn't know I felt bad. I was a client first. And I returned back to the U.S. in 2008, right in June, right when the economy had collapsed. And they say where there are, there's always opportunity no matter what the situation might be. And the opportunity was metabolic balance was making an entry. And I knew some of the players, if you would, within metabolic balance in Germany at that point. And the opportunity came that I became certified metabolic balance coach with them. And by 2011, they asked me to come on as their sales and marketing director, a position that hadn't been filled at that time yet. So since that time, I wear two hats. I'm a certified senior metabolic balance coach. Additionally, I'm also their sales and marketing director for the U.S.
Wow. So you've experienced it from all perspectives.
Phil, I went from about 225 down to about 178. And I bounced around 185 comfortably. And the bottom line is I've never gone above 195, since that. And that was back, I'll say 2006, okay? And prior to that, I was well over 200 on a regular basis. And so, it's changed my life. And, it can change a lot of people's lives. I've seen this happen.
Well, we know that the metabolic balance program can be used successfully for men, as your testimony, and women of all ages. But for this interview, we chose to focus on the baby boomer woman because of the unique issues they face when it comes to losing weight and keeping it off. Perhaps you could share some insights into what some of those issues are and why losing weight is so challenging for them.
Well, Phil, I'm glad you brought that up. Interestingly, 80% plus of our participants are women. And average age for them is between 42 to about 70. This fits right in the demographics of our baby boomers.
Right.
80 to 85% of my personal clients, and I'd say, of our coaches around the United States clients, indeed are women. We find 4 sort of segments, interestingly, if I put it this way. We find women in their 40s, their metabolism is starting to shift. Why? Because your metabolism really is your hormones and your enzymes. And, as your 40s start to shift, we see a lot of weight gain is starting to happen now. Many of these women have had babies. They've had 2 or 3 possibly. They have a family. In their 40s, they're going full bore. They've got a lot on their plate. They may even have teenagers, as they're getting into their late 40s, into their 50s. There's pressures there. They're holding down a career. We find, mothers really are a fantastic resource as far as looking to be able to increase their health, whether it's getting rid of pregnancy weight or whether it's, hey, you know what? It was easier to get rid of my weight earlier than my first kids, but now that I'm in my 40s, it's just not going away. What do I do? I've tried many things. It's not working. Now, the same story I find also with the ladies in their 50s, in their 60s. They have often tried many different types of programs. A lot of them, 80% of them, 75% of them are do-it-yourselfers. I'm just going to eat healthy. They're overdoing diets nowadays. They want to eat healthy. So they're going gluten-free. They're going organic. Not bad ideas, but still they're not losing the weight. We find many of them that are over-exercising. They're exercising like crazy. Or some just can't exercise. Therefore, they resign themselves to saying, I can't exercise, therefore I'm just going to stay heavy. But they get on the pills. By the time they get in their 50s, the elderly couples and women, they're on the blood pressure meds. They may be on even, metamorphin for diabetes. There's other causes that are affecting them. And quite simply, these lifestyle diseases, acidosis, GERD, gout, the list goes on, are caused by our lifestyle. And if we find these pills and these ailments can be reversed if you have the right lifestyle behind you. Women that are certainly in their 60s, they've gone through menopause, and hormonally, it's quite different. They can't be eating the same manner and in the same way that they did in their 30s, in their 20s, and certainly in their teens. Many attempt to do so. They have to be open to trying some new things in order to get better results. Metabolic balance answers that question for them. Simply think of this. If someone says, I want to lose weight and I want to get healthier, what they're really asking, if they want to do it naturally and work with their body's metabolism, is what should I eat? How much of it should I eat? When should I eat it? Metabolic balance gives exactly that.
Okay, well, that's pretty simple. I mean, most people aren't looking behind the question of what they're saying. I want to lose weight. Why? What are you really looking for? It's really looking for a prescription for life, as opposed to lose weight. The result is to lose weight, but the driver of that has got to be the change in how I eat, what I eat, and when I eat it. Now, the thing that I found unique about your program is that it's based on a client's blood value and a health profile. Can you explain how those elements lead to the success of the program?
Absolutely, and I'll tell a real simple story and the significance of this. But first of all, the blood work is crucial. It gives us a real idea of what's going on within the biology of the person. If we see high uric acid, we know that there's foods that evoke uric acid. There's foods that can help reverse it. If we see high inflammation markers, even the order of foods, what you should eat for breakfast in the morning after you've been at rest, meaning you haven't had dinner the night before to breakfast the next day, maybe anywhere from 11 to 14 hours, inflammation markers are low. Why would I want to throw food at it that's going to cause inflammation first thing in the morning? And so the importance of these, even the timing of food, is there. And sort of the cholesterol panel, the glucose, to see where that is. All that, when we look at all the specifics of their blood panel, it gives us a good snapshot of what foods we should be recommending. Number one. Number two, the personal profile. Are you a man? Are you a woman? There's already some nutritional differences. Your height, your weight, how you carry your weight. A woman with waist, depending on your height, generally over 36 inches, is starting to store fat, especially around the midriff. What is your shape for women? Are you an apple shape? Are you a pear shape? How you store your fat also has significance. Illnesses, diseases, meds you might be on. If you're on hormonal replacement therapy, as a lot of women in their 50s and 60s, are being recommended to do, this changes your biology as well. It's important to know those things. So both of those pieces of data are crucial. Your blood work and your personal health profile. That information is gathered by our metabolic balance coaches. We use included in your program is your blood testing here in the United States. So it's all inclusive. Everything from ordering your blood test to development of your personalized nutrition plan. When we gather that data, it's sent to our institute in Germany, where a personalized, customized nutrition plan is developed for you. There are 4 phases. We'll talk about that in a moment. But you follow the plan, you get your results. And just a real simple story. I think it's valid for this point of the conversation. Dr. Funfak was on a TV interview panel in Germany several years ago, and there was a panel of experts, fitness and health and nutrition experts, with him, about 4 or 5 other experts. The host had a big fridge on the stage, and the question to the expert panel of nutritionists and physicians, etc., was, opening the fridge, there's all these foods in it. What would you recommend for our population to eat? And the game of the interview was to remove the things they should not eat, leave the things in the fridge that they should eat. The first expert gave it up, took out some things out of the food, out of the pantry, or out of the refrigerator, rather, and left other things in. The next one got up, took some stuff, put it back in, took other stuff out, etc. Everyone had a different low, high fat, paleo, vegetables. And Dr. Funfak, when it came to him, he was the last on the panel. He says, "I'm sorry, I cannot participate." And sort of threw the host back a little bit. "Well, doctor, you're the expert here. Why won't you participate?" He says, "I first must ask a question." "So what's the question?" So the question is, who does this fridge belong to? Just until I know who it belongs to, can I make any recommendation? This is the importance in a massive differentiation between any other program that's out there, is we have to look at you, the individual. This is a fully individualized nutrition plan. If you've tried many things, you may have lost weight, but have you kept it off? 1. Have you been able to develop a lifestyle from it? And this is key. And this is why Metabolic Balance does not sell you any products. Understand, Phil, in our population, and realizes they know the size of our supermarkets have grown tremendously over the last 30, 40 years. 1974, according to the stats that I've read, the average supermarket had around 4,500 items you could choose from their shelves. Today's supermarket, can you guess how many things we can choose from our shelves?
Well, 10,000?
Over 40,000.
40,000, wow.
Yeah, average, large. Now, these are supermarkets. It's not your average, store. But we've gone from one flavor of Doritos now to 20. Okay, and that's just one product. Okay, multiply this with products against products against products. Okay, and of course, the food industry, we're now importing. It's not just in processed foods, that's the largest area. But food flavor enhancement has increased tremendously. We're using molds nowadays to even flavor foods, okay? That can't be healthy for you. We've seen increase of candida and other issues like this which are affecting, the gut health of our population. So, how do we navigate? The question is, how do we expect our population and our baby boomers to navigate the average supermarket? What we want to do is turn the tables from you being hunted by food to where we start to hunt the food that our body most needs. You have to have a target to do so, and we establish that target for you with your personalized, customized nutrition plan.
That's a pretty powerful change of perspective. Again, instead of looking at how from the perspective of here's my diet, as opposed here's what I need to eat, and that's a different prism to view the world, and that's that's a pretty powerful shift.
It is. If you don't change your perception and how you see foods, you always will be battling the same cravings, you'll be battling the same issues, and you go down the same street. And this is one of the things that Metabolic Balance really has based the program on, okay? And it's key. It's crucial.
Can we get a little bit into some of the? I'm going to drill down a little bit into some of the specifics of the program. So I have the personal plan. How does it actually work? What do I do, and how does it help me change my lifestyle?
Well, sure. First, imagine a pyramid, right? A triangle. The base on the very bottom is sensible eating. What is sensible for you? And that's why we develop a nutrition plan. Our key foundational assumption is that you are producing enzymes and hormones, therefore you're capable of having a balanced metabolism. Okay? The other base assumption is that with the balanced metabolism is you can start choosing the foods based upon your own inner signals that have re-emerged, that the foods that your body most needs. And now, how do we lead this way? With sensible eating as our base, we start there, it leads elsewhere. It goes up the pyramid. The second level of the pyramid really is changing your senses, sense of smell, sense of taste, aversion toward foods, attraction toward foods starts to shift. And we see people where they start to appreciate eating things like kohlrabi. They may not even know what kohlrabi was in the first place. Highly nutritious, fantastic vegetable, cabbage turnip that you can eat raw, you can cook. It's a great replacement for potatoes. And your body just sucks it up. It loves it. I've given an example, but those senses have to change, and they can change. I often see people in the morning, they think, well, I drink my coffee with sugar and milk. Well, with our program, you're not going to drink sugar and milk in coffee because you're not drinking coffee. You're drinking sugar and milk, okay, with the coffee. So drink coffee alone with your meal, for example, is one of our recommendations. Well, I can't do that. I say give it 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, they're saying, I don't know why I ever put sugar and milk in my coffee. You can change, but this must lead somewhere. See, the whole program has to take you someplace to a better place. And on the top of our pyramid, when you change your senses of perception, it leads us simply into a sensible life. You have a desire to move. You have a desire to be active. You reconnect with the things you love. And this is where at the heart of Metabolic Balance is about life improvement. Now, how do we get there? The bells and whistles is once we develop your personalized nutrition plan, okay, your personal coach, Metabolic Balance coach, will sit with you for about an hour and a half, introduce you to the first 2 phases. Phase 1 is a 2-day cleanse. The purpose is to have a full bowel evacuation. You don't have to compare it to getting ready for a colonoscopy. It's a gentle cleanse, okay? It's not so violent. But the benefits are very real. One is it starts to redirect your metabolism towards stored fats and towards stored toxins. We want to start removing, detoxing the body. The second thing it helps to do is reduce hunger and cravings as we go into the second phase, phase 2. Phase 2, which starts on your third day, okay, is the heart of the program, where you'll follow it directly. You'll have the instructions of here's what you do for breakfast. Now, mind you, there's framework. You don't eat the same thing every morning for breakfast, but you will have the list. For example, it could say, oatmeal and milk. The question is what milk? If milk is even on your program. Again, it might be goat's milk. It might be cow's milk. You might not have any milk recommended based upon what we see. Okay? We're not a calorie counting program, but we are going to ask you to measure and have the right amounts of food. So there is a requirement of buying a scale, having a scale, and measuring the food before you prepare it. Perhaps it has eggs, 2 eggs with vegetables in the morning. Perhaps there's even nuts and seeds. If we see someone with high inflammation markers, nuts and seeds are an anti-inflammatory. And you say, well, nuts and seeds for breakfast. I'm used to pancakes and eggs and waffles, and this is how I eat. Well, that's part of the problem. If I gave you a great little idea here, I want folks that might be listening and try this. Take 30 grams of almonds, raw almonds, okay, organic if you can, it'd be fantastic. Take 20 grams of sunflower seeds, of course, shelled, raw as well. Soak them overnight. Makes them more bioavailable, easier to digest. Throw the water off. Take a food processor, not a blender, but a processor. Throw those nuts and seeds in there. Take an apple. Cut an apple into it. Okay? Take cinnamon, as much as you like, put that in. Take a little bit of sea salt or Himalayan salt. Why? Don't use table salt. Table salt dehydrates the body. If you take Himalayan salt or a good sea salt, or even a kosher sea salt, these hydrate the body. These are the things your coaches are going to tell you. It's the small things you do that build the big health in your body. Okay, we want the metabolism to function correctly. So you put those together. You hit the button. You chop it all up. The cinnamon with the apple and the nuts, almost like a muesli kind of thing. It's fresh. You eat that. I tell you, it's delicious, number one. Number two, it will keep you very satisfied between your breakfast to your lunch. And it's an anti-inflammatory, and it's been proven. Time magazine had 2 years ago a big article. People that eat nuts and seeds live 30% longer. I wish I still had the article, but there is a connection between eating nuts and seeds and longevity. But that's called Mandalay. Very simple. Now, here's the point. Every lunch, breakfast, dinner, you're going to have 3 choices of high-quality proteins that you can choose from. We'll tell you what proteins they are. So if it says poultry for lunch or dinner, you'll look down on the next page and it'll tell you which poultry. Is it chicken breast? Is it turkey breast? Is it duck? Is it pheasant? Okay, is it all of them? Is it chicken thigh? Why? Nutritionally, they have different values. So we're looking at your body saying, here's what your body should best use. Mind you, our creed is this: let thy food be thy medicine, and let thy medicine be thy food. And so we preach what we do what we preach. Here's the foods that you should eat. There will be a list of vegetables and lettuces that we specifically focus on. Now, it's a larger list. So if you don't like romaine, you may find that, ball is quite fine and easy for you to find near you. But you're going to shop at your supermarket, at your farmer's market. There's no product you buy from Metabolic Balance. You'll simply be able to source your food where you live. After all, this is where you live. You need to get smart about hunting the right foods. Now, the second phase, as you follow it, you're getting your result. With the help of your coach, education with your coach, you go through that second phase. It's very common for people. Our average, we did a challenge a couple of years ago. Our average weight loss over 9 weeks, this is between men and women, of course, was right around 23 pounds over 9 weeks. Some lost much faster, some lost a little slower. Everyone's a little different in that regard. But when you come down close to your goal, the third phase comes in, which is a relaxed conversion phase. You're able to add in other foods based upon this new perception we talked about earlier. And might be old favorites, might be some new foods. But with the help of your coach again, you'll learn the difference between indulgent meals and sensible meals. And therefore you can maintain a weight long term. There are times you may gain some weight. Okay, you go on vacation. Over Christmas and New Year's, I always gain a few pounds. What do? You don't have to go out and spend money on Jenny Craig or any other programs or Weight Watchers. You simply go back to your core foods that are on your program, and you're able to reduce again. In this way, you are empowered. That's what we're focusing on, is empowering our population to understand which foods are best for them, which foods help them lose weight, maintain weight, and overall better health. The final phase is simply a combination of your experience. It's a maintenance phase where you're simply able to maintain weight, which I sort of explained a little bit, a couple sentences earlier here.
How long does the second phase last? It seems like that's going to be the most challenging one because it's the one where the most restrictions are placed on you and your places where you're going to be eating a lot of different foods and combinations, perhaps. So how long does that normally take? This is a lifestyle program, Phil. The beauty about it, these are natural foods, whole foods that you're going to find surrounding you in your supermarkets and farmers markets. So it's a lifestyle program. So when you start to add in the second week, at the end of the second week, you can start adding in treat meals. The first 2 weeks, we want you to be as strict as you can on the program. But your third week going forward, once a week you can add in a treat meal. We don't call it a cheat meal. You're not cheating yourself. It's a treat meal. We'll give you some boundaries to understand how to best, facilitate a good treat meal. But you can enjoy it. You can enjoy yourself. Have a glass of red wine. We're a German company, after all. European. Red wine is on our food list. Believe it or not. Okay.
Now, some people will probably sign up just because of that. But mind you, the first few weeks, less is more. So you'll, as you follow the program in the second phase, that's a phase where you're getting at your results. So it changes for everyone. If someone has, 10 pounds to lose, you very well may do 10 pounds in the first 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the person. And we can simply graduate you into phase 3 rather quickly. Someone who is obese, has 50 pounds, 60 pounds, 100 pounds to lose, phase 2 will stay longer. Okay. But it's not so in the sense of I can't eat what I want to eat. These foods become your favorite foods because of the results you're getting. Think of it this way. If I don't feel better by the foods I eat, are you eating the right foods? And I would have to say no. You should feel better. You physically should feel better. You physically should feel more empowered. You physically should, sleep better. And again, we're focusing really on people on helping them. The key purpose here is to really balance their key hormones. And the first key hormone we really start to balance is insulin. Insulin in our population is being produced way too high, way too often. And one of our key rules is to eat 3 meals a day. No more, no less. Some people might say that's rather tough. I'm used to having my healthy snacks in between. The problem with that, is some people can, but most people can't. Because when you do that, you're increasing insulin surge, increasing your blood sugar. And every time you increase your blood sugar, insulin is being produced. You start to store fat. You cannot burn the fat, and it also leads you to hunger and cravings. So, if anything you learned here today is if we can start to reduce your insulin, a key hormone, you'll burn fat, you won't store fat, and you actually reduce your hunger and cravings. And Metabolic Balance does a fantastic job in doing that by individualizing a program for each one of our participants.
But, that sounds pretty impressive. No, what are some of the biggest concerns that a client may have? I mean, you've outlined some pretty significant benefits that should get most people that want to lose weight, pretty excited about this and eating healthy foods to feel better. But I'm sure people have concerns. What might they be?
Number one, will it work for me? It's always that self-doubt, will it work for me? I've tried everything else, and I just can't seem to lose weight. You haven't had a personal coach, perhaps, to be able to lead you along the way and help you. And each one of our coaches are certified. The vast majority come from a health and wellness background, whether they're a naturopath, a homeopath, whether they're a nutritionist, from fitness experts. They add metabolic balance into their practice because they have clients and that need it. Now, so one of the biggest challenges is simply, will it work for me? I'd say the second would probably be that it's difficult to do the program. This is a regimented program. We give you specific guidelines. We're also giving you specific amounts of foods to eat. So people say, can I go out and eat with it? It looks like I can't. Well, actually you can. We recommend, though, in the first couple of weeks to minimize eating out as much as possible. I work with executives. They're fast foods, fancy foods, and it's about choices. Once you know which foods you should be focusing on, you'd be surprised how easy it is, if you're focused on them, to find. And this is part of where we want to internalize rather than externalize, our senses, meaning this: I see the food, I smell it, therefore I'm hungry. When we start really balancing your key hormones and, this new lifestyle, through the first couple of weeks, people start to internalize because they're getting a great result. The first couple of weeks, it's often easy to see people losing somewhere between 8 up to 15 pounds even. A man that's, 250 pounds, I've seen often losing up to 15 pounds in the first 2 weeks. A woman that's 5'3" obviously is different. But nevertheless, that quick weight loss in the first couple of weeks and just a change of sense of how they feel, inflammation reducing, joint pain, reducing, encourages them greatly. But you got to do the program to experience that. So sometimes people say, will it work for me? Can I eat out with it? And I'll say yes, because once you internalize and you know which food you should be eating, they go into a good restaurant, and I'll tell them, hey, listen, I see you've got grilled chicken here, and you've got poached salmon. Can you please grill my salmon instead? And I see you've got sautéed vegetables over here. Could you steam them for me instead? You can make demands like this in a good restaurant, and they're happy to accommodate you so that you can actually get what your body most needs. And so eating out is indeed possible. But the other thing is, do I have to cook? I'll say the third misconception is, do I have to cook? Yes. You have to connect with your food. Vast majority of people don't have that issue, especially our baby boomers. They've been around the kitchen. We find unfortunately, younger folks are having a harder time. A lot of them don't cook. Some of them grow up in houses where they, a lot of eating out, a lot of fast foods. And this is unfortunate. That we're seeing that more frequently nowadays than ever before. But a coach is there to help people along with that, because you have to connect with food again. That's very important.
Okay. Well, maybe then you can share what are some of the most common comments or reactions people have once they've completed the program.
This is a lifestyle program. So people say, I'm done now. Now what? I said, no, now you need to maintain that weight. How do we do that? Well, part of the journey is actually the answer in itself. How you lost the weight will teach you how to maintain it. We can increase the amounts of food. We can increase the types of food. but we're going to deal with foods that are whole, natural foods. Try to go as organic as we can. It's not always required 100% organic, but certain foods you want to make organic, such as the Dirty Dozen, apples, certain vegetables, you want to go organic with because they are highly sprayed. Well, you'll learn this along the way. Maintain that, okay? Maintain that. And the list of 8 rules that we have, there are 8 golden rules. As much as you can follow these 8 simple rules, and there's always exceptions to rules, right? But as long as you follow them, you find that you're able to maintain your weight. And so this is, again, does a program ever end? Well, your time with your coach obviously has an end, but your life continues. And learning all of this, it continues with you. The other question is, I often get is, you know what? I have friends or I have a particular family member or friend that really needs this. Can you help them as well? And I'd say 90%, 85% of our customers, our clients, our participants are referrals. In fact, while I'm sitting here, I just have to laugh. I just got a text on my phone from another client who just sent me a referral, okay, by phone. And, so they want to share it with family and friends, and we're more than pleased, obviously, to help their family and friends get healthy as well.
Well, that's very helpful. I think, Len, what struck me is the fact that this is, it's not a beginning and end. It is a lifestyle, and it does take into consideration that life happens. And if I've learned it, and I have the knowledge base, and I have my requirements set out for me, all I got to do is go back to the plan that worked in the first place. So I never lose it.
Yeah.
And so I may have a bad weekend. I may have a bad day, but I don't have to turn that into a bad life. And I have the roadmap there for me with the GPS system in order to get myself so I can feel the way I feel, which is, you talk about having more energy and be able to move better and enjoy food. So those are really, really important things.
You're absolutely right, Phil. It's interesting. So many of, I see a lot of women, baby boomers, that are suffering with, arthritis. Their hands just don't quite work the same as they did, in their knee joints. And these are classic cases of inflammation. Metabolic Balance, the personalized program, I've seen it over and over again, doing a fantastic job in helping to reduce this inflammation, the silent killer. A lot of it's not a requirement, a lot of our coaches will actually do a secondary blood test just to enforce and to see how they're doing. And, we often see cholesterol decreasing. We see the good cholesterol, the bad cholesterol rebalanced to where the good cholesterol is much higher, bad cholesterol is lower. We see inflammation markers reducing, even liver health improving as well. And this is using foods that our Creator has put on this earth for us. Okay. And, people often ask, is supplementation a requirement? No, it's not a requirement for Metabolic Balance. Some of our practitioners, that use Metabolic Balance may offer it based upon a particular requirement of a client. Metabolic Balance itself does not. And the reason why is, you cannot synthesize and recreate food. Food is food. Having said that, there is a place sometimes for supplementation, but that's on an individual basis. Food is indeed nature's medicine.
Well, that's great. Well, if our listeners want to learn more about Metabolic Balance and your program, where would you recommend that they go to get more information?
There's 2 locations. One is they're able to call here at my number, which is 727-851-0071 for further information. And to also find a coach, we can find one for you in the area you're at. Again, that's 727-851-0071. Also, you may go to our website. Our website is metabolic-balance. Okay? Again, right. Metabolic-balance.us. All All right, and you can find there, and there's many more information about the program. You can also see there a tab for Find a Coach, to find a coach that might be near you. And if there isn't one near you, please call the number again that I gave you earlier, and we can match you up and even do a distance program where we can coach you from a distance. We can even order the blood work for you and, work with you as a distance coach situation. So that's a possibility. Don't have to have someone right near you. If there is, we'd love to hook you up with him, though.
So it doesn't make any difference where you live. You'll have access to metabolic balance.
Absolutely.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, Len, thank you so much for sharing your story and let us know about the tremendous benefits of metabolic balance. And again, I wish you good health, and thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you, Phil. Wish you a fantastic day.
You too.
You've been listening to Never Too Late for Fitness Radio, hosted by Phil Ferris. To learn more about the guests or resources on our show today, or to listen to past episodes, go to nevertoolateforfitness.com.